Hi everyone and welcome to GreenBiz Studio. My name is Jim Giles. I'm the Senior Analyst for Food and Carbon Systems here at GreenBiz. And I have with me Kevin Cullen, who is the Vice President of Innovation and Economic Development at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology, which goes by the name of KAUST. Welcome, Kevin.
Good evening.
Well, it's great to have you here, and I'm fascinated to learn about the work you're doing there. And I thought before we dive into the details, just set the scene, because Saudi Arabia faces some really interesting innovation challenges and sustainability challenges. Tell me a little bit about an overview of what you're doing there.
Yeah, the university is only 10 years old, so an absolute infant in terms of universities around the world, a university with enormous ambition. And a key part of that ambition is to contribute to Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030. Vision 2030 foresees a transition of the economy from heavy reliance on fossil fuels to a much more diversified economy with a significant focus on different types of energy, but also addressing the challenges of the kingdom. The university was founded on 4 pillars: food, water, energy, and environment. And those are the areas where we really do some world-class research.
So give us some examples of that work. And I'm particularly interested in the circular carbon work you're doing there. The carbon economy is this emerging but really important part of our sustainability efforts. So tell us about the research you're doing there on circular carbon.
Yeah, the circular carbon economy, again, sits at the heart of what we're doing here at KAUST and also at the heart of Saudi Arabia's strategic vision. The 4 parts being reduce, remove, reuse, and recycle carbon. And I could probably spend an hour speaking on each of those, but given the limitations on time, I'd talk about areas like carbon capture. You know, fossil fuels release carbon dioxide, and some of the work that we're doing here is focused on capturing that carbon dioxide. 2 key approaches. Cryogenic carbon capture, where we're working with Aramco to find ways of essentially being able to freeze CO2 out of the air to capture it and then actually to reuse it. And some of the projects we're doing with Aramco involve converting carbon dioxide into useful chemicals. So achieving 2 things. First of all, removing it from the atmosphere in the first place, but also converting it into really useful products. The other one is MOFs, as we call them, metallo-organic frameworks, which actually act as a sort of sieve to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and capture it, again, in ways that we're then able to release it to use it to do useful and interesting things. But another part, I mean, without focusing always on fossil fuels, another part of this is different approaches to agriculture. We have a number of projects. One of my favorites is a startup company of ours called Red Sea Farms, where what they're doing is growing tomatoes in the desert, which sounds like a challenging thing to do, and it is. So they've adopted a sort of dual technology approach. One, they've developed new strains of tomatoes that are tolerant to salt water. So it actually reduces the amount of fresh water required. But as well as that, the growing conditions. They've developed essentially an air conditioning system for greenhouses that reduces the amount of fresh water required by 95% to create the conditions in which the tomatoes can grow in the desert, whilst, as I say, reducing fresh water usage and also being able to use salt water to actually irrigate and grow some of the plants.
I think that's fascinating. And I talked to your colleague, Mark Tester, who's working on it. And one of the things that really struck me was how this technology is being developed to solve a problem you have there in Saudi Arabia. But of course, it doesn't have to be limited to the country. It has applications all around the world. Just quickly, as a final question, tell us where you see this technology going in the long term.
In the region, in the first instance, I mean, there's a lot of arid territory around us in the Middle East. But all you have to do is look around the world, North Africa and Australia, you have arid conditions everywhere. And with what we're seeing in terms of climate change, the amount of arid conditions that we're going to have to deal with is going to do nothing except increase. So the vision from the king at the beginning was to address challenges for the kingdom that would be applicable globally. And, you know, in terms of desert agriculture, we see that as being one contribution that we can make to helping the economy, society, and community worldwide.
Thanks so much, Kevin. That's all we have time for now. I really appreciate you sharing those insights and that information on what you're doing. We've been listening to Kevin Cullen, who is the Vice President for Innovation and Economic Development at the King Abdullah University of Science and Technology in Saudi Arabia. My name is Jim Giles. I'm the Food and Carbon Analyst here at GreenBiz. Thanks everyone for watching.
Thank you.